Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Minor items not on the agenda. I have one to kick it off, which is called a farmer's guide. I'll happily hand them out and give you a view on that at the end.
Is this your list of culinary skills and recipes?
Last 2 pages. I'll go there first, Councillor Barker. Councillor Balfour.
Energy Futures meeting.
Energy Futures. Councillor Scott.
Appointment of alternatives to the coastal strategy group.
Repeat that with the microphone on, please.
Sorry. Appointment of alternatives to the coastal strategy group.
Excuse me.
Councillor Graham.
Massey University Forum.
Thank you. Right, let's get into the body of the day. Item 7, affixing the common seal, page 11.
Mr. Chairman, just 5 leasehold land sales there, so nothing else.
Any comments, Mr. Drury? Got anything to add to that?
No, just if we have a look at that, there's 2 leasehold land sales and 3 transfers. Transfers from one owner to another. So the sale of or the freeholding are starting to abate a little bit, although the interest rates are on their way down again, perhaps.
No questions? Someone happy to move? Thank you, Councillor Bevan. We have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Pipe. Further discussion? Put that motion, then all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Recommendations from the Regional Transport Committee, page 13.
Mr. Chairman, our Transport Manager, Anne Redgrave, is on leave. And as a consequence of that, I think information relating to the recommendations from the committee to amend the terms of reference were not included with the paper and had been distributed separately. And just looking at that paper, which you had this morning, which has red track changes, I believe it needs a little bit of further tidying to represent the views of the committee, and with your approval, I'll just run through those again in the absence of Ms. Redgrave. First of all, and this is the supplementary paper, item 5, oversee governance of road safe Hawke's Bay through a subcommittee of the Transport Committee. We could cross out through a subcommittee of the Transport Committee because the road safe activities are directly overseen by the Transport Committee now. The substantial change recommended was to reflect submissions on the regional land transport plan and the regional passenger transport plan to reflect the views of if you like, sectors or components of the community that believed that greater emphasis was needed. In fact, there were proposals that there should be advisory members of the committee representing public transport users, cyclists, and even pedestrians. Now, the Transport Committee is a large committee. Many of the transport committees around the country, in fact, don't even have advisory members now under the new legislation. We believe that they add value, so the recommendation is to assign additional responsibilities to existing advisory members. So If we go down to members B, advisory members, non-voting, I think we need to just tidy up the wording a bit. For example, the first one should read, one member representing New Zealand Police traffic safety. One member representing New Zealand Police traffic safety. One member representing Crossout Automobile Association, private motorists, public transport, cycling and pedestrian interests. And the reason for crossing out Automobile Association is that the member who's prepared to take on those responsibilities at present is a committee member of the AA, but it's not necessary that that representative come from the AA. Thirdly, one member representing port and coastal shipping interest, and I think just cross out Napier Port. One member representing Kiwi Rail interests. One member representing the road transport industry, and one member representing cultural and environmental interests. And if the council was happy to accept those minor amendments, that will put us on track to carry on with our work. Other elements in there, the variation on the program brings forward a bridge replacement on the on State Highway 38.
38.
Which is good news. There was some discussion in the committee about forward planning and the integration of transport planning and infrastructure planning, which is a follow-up item that will be dealt with by a later meeting of the committee. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
So just before we go there, is there any questions around the terms of reference, the minor changes there? Has anyone got any questions on that? Councillor Barker?
I just wonder, do we have to do this today, or could we have this at the next meeting, having got it all tidied up and reflected? Is there
Probably a question for Councillor Dick, actually.
It's not vital to do it today. The committee's not due to meet for another month or two.
I just wonder whether we could have at the next meeting, council meeting, a clean sheet with all the recommendations on that. Would that be?
I'm quite happy with that.
Okay, so explain to me, Councillor Dick, how that would work when we come down to committee membership here. Item 2 would remain on the table, is that what I'm hearing? We could actually, I've just had a message here, it's been actually typed and could go up on the screen if that was...
Oh, sure.
It'd be quite nice to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I apologise for the situation, but it's a bit beyond my control.
We'll get it up on the board and then...
I'm not opposed to that. It's just that I like to see things clean,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
all. There's nothing here that I disagree with. In fact, some of it I agree with. Like, instead of having the AA represent all interests, to have a representative of everybody, because putting aside personal and private interests, motorcyclists for a long time have felt the AA has represented the car and never the bike.
Your bike's as big as a car, Councillor. That's the thing. All right, we'll get that up on the board. Any other questions in relation to other parts of this paper while Councillor Dick's on a roll there? Okay, well, we'll get these changes up on the board and perhaps we can vote on the whole lot then today would be useful.
Sorry, there is one other thing, Chair. The draft regional cycle plan was not actually presented at that meeting. It ended up being presented at the Environmental and Services meeting.
It was presented to the Transport Committee as well.
Was it?
And it was received and endorsed
Oh, okay.
in exactly the same manner that
Okay.
the other council committee did. There are elements of
won't get you to repeat that, but if you could turn your microphone on next time.
I was
Yeah,
just
Mr.
saying that the regional cycling plan went to the Regional Transport Committee just as it went to, was it corporate? Or whatever other finance, yeah. And the Transport Committee's response was to receive and endorse it in exactly the same manner as the Council Committee. And I was just noting at the end that some of these things, and that includes public transport, go to Transport Committee and also to another Council Committee, which might appear a bit ponderous, but I don't believe it. Well, I believe it adds to the value of the decision-making process.
Thank you. Okay, any other? Just give a moment for the technology. Go through them one by one. The microphone needs, please.
So the first is just changing that it was amended and adopted today. The second, number 5, Road Safe Hawke's Bay, is no longer a subcommittee, so just oversee the governance of Road Safe Hawke's Bay. And then the membership changes here under B, advisory members, non-voting, 1 member representing. We've got New Zealand Police Traffic Safety, private motorist, public transport, cycling and pedestrian interests, port and coastal shipping interests, Kiwi Rail interests, road transport interests, and finally
Road transport
industry. And keep the word interests or not? And then finally, 1 member representing cultural and environmental interests.
And Councillor Barker, as the Deputy Chair of the committee, naturally can represent motorcyclists' interests at any stage.
Promotion in that, I think. Okay, any other questions? Are you satisfied, Councillor Barker? You're happy with that? Thank you. You're happy to move the report to be received. Thank you, Councillor Dick. We have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hewitt. You wish to speak further, Councillor Dick?
It'd be nice to report on some progress with the objective of reopening the Napier to Gisborne rail line, but unfortunately I don't believe we're in a position to do that just yet. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
But it's a work in progress.
Work in progress. Moved, seconded. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Recommendations, Environment Services on page 15. Chairman.
In that case, I'll put my mic on. There were two matters that were not decided upon, and I'm not quite sure whether we've got updated information on them. The first was the Upper Tukituk flood control scheme. Clarification was sought on finance. If you have a look at the table there that cuts across the page 15 and then 16.
Yeah, these spare blankies for the tomatoes, I mean. You frogged them all off in the Gave all the blankets away.
Right, we'll get the temperature right. Sorry, very rude interruption. Sorry, apologies, Councillor Bevan. Very rudely interrupted there.
Yeah, Mike 80 was going to seek clarification on, and I don't know whether he's
And we're
spoken to
we're
you,
seeking
Paul.
Mike 80 at the moment. So
Okay. And the other one was Number 3, infrastructure insurance. Considers and decides whether to delegate authority to the interim chief executive, et cetera. We didn't feel we had enough information to give direction appropriate for the delegation, and that was held over seeking more information. And again, I'm not quite sure whether we're in a position to be able to get more information and be able to do that here.
Through you, Mr Chair, no, I think my understanding is, as Mr Adey spoke to me about this after the meeting, that he's going to need to prepare another paper for you to provide the information you require. So it will have to come back, probably through the Corporate and Strategic Committee.
Right. Okay, so that probably means we'll need to modify the recommendations then. Hmm?
I'll remove that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just with regard to other papers received and decisions made, Chair, I guess a key one was the presentation we had from the Tamata Peak Trust Board asking that we hold $500,000 that had been allocated for the visitor centre at Tamata Peak, hold that until the end of the year, during which time they will come back to us with a revised proposal on how those funds might be spent on the assets there. I don't really think there's anything else that I should be drawing your attention to, Chair. So with the removal of 3, I'm happy to move the recommendations.
Happy to move. Thank you. Happy to second. Further discussion. Just so everyone's clear, infrastructure insurance number 3 has been removed. So we're not voting on that. That will come back in a later paper. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion, and all those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Carry.